This is the story of a girl who gets bullied by a group of girls at her school. She is always mocked and insulted by them. One day she realizes that she had enough of it and decides to be strong. Let's see how she goes about it. Welcome to Movie Recall. In today's video, we will be going through the 2008 movie, The Click. It's time to recall. Let's get started. Turn on subtitles and spoilers ahead. The movie starts and we see a girl named Massie Block who lives in an extravagant house with her parents. Her father's name is Mr. William Block and her mother's name is Kendra Block. Massie happens to be a part of a group of 4 friends who is the most popular group of girls at their school. The other 3 popular girls are named Kristen, Dylan, and Alicia. Their group is known as the Popular Committee. We see that Massie is not too thrilled to learn that her parents have decided to take in their family friends, the Lions, who have just moved in from Orlando, Florida with their teenage daughter Claire. Massie is enraged and she is mad at her parents for ruining her upcoming plans as she reveals that she had been planning a party. Trying to calm her down, William tells her about their daughter and their son Todd as well. He had that they are just going to be staying in their guest house for a few days and then they will make their way to their own place. Massie is still enraged and keeps on ranting as she tells her parents that she had planned a party with her schoolmates. Her parents, however, do not care about it and tell her that she better be present at the dinner table and warn her to be on her best behavior. When she is left with no other choice, she calls her clique and makes up some rumors about the host named Shelly, making clear to her friends that there is going to be no party. Massie's mother then comes to her and tells her that if she behaves nicely with everyone at dinner, she will be allowed to join the party after dinner. Then we see the Lyons family arriving at their house and they are amazed to see how big their house is. William and Kendra right away come out to welcome their guests, but Massie is too cool to do that. She rather sits in her room and bitches about Claire's fashion choices. She finally gets ready and makes her way downstairs. However, we right away see that she is not going to be able to get along with Claire, despite the fact that the girl is very nice to Massie. While they are at the dinner table, everyone fusses over how good Claire's academic results have been. Massie is, however, not impressed by her at all. For her, Claire is nothing but an uncool girl who is not rich like she is, as she belongs to an average family. Kendra notices that Massie has been behaving rather rudely, so she goes on to suggest Massie take Kendra to the party with her as well. Massie, however, tells them that she is sick before she makes her way back to her room. After they are done with dinner, Claire asks her mother to take her for shopping. She tells her mother that she wants the latest fashion designer clothes just like Massie has in order to be able to fit in at her new school. Judy, her mother, is a little weirded out by the idea as she does not understand why her daughter so desperately wants to impress Massie. However, she agrees to go shopping with her. The next morning, Massie goes horse riding and meets a boy named Chris. They talk for a bit and Massie finds the guy attractive. On the other hand, Claire goes to the mall to shop for new clothes with her mother. There, she runs into Dylan at a store. Claire stumbles upon the scene where Dylan is having an argument with her mother over perfect-sized jeans that she does not want her to buy because her mother thinks that the jeans are large. Claire approaches Dylan and tells her that she could switch the tags with more petite jeans so that she could get the one she wants. In this way, she will get what she wants and her mother will also be satisfied. Claire really likes the suggestion and shows her gratefulness to Claire before she is taken away by Kristen and Alicia. Judy buys her daughter very expensive clothes, and Claire's joy knows no bounds. The next day is her first day at the new school for Claire, and Judy informs her that she is going to be going to school with Massie in her car. Claire's excited to learn this and right away goes to the car where the driver named Isaac is waiting for the girls. After a while, Massie also joins her, and she acts rude as she tells her to move to the back seat because her friends are going to be joining them on their way to school. They pick up Dylan first, and Massie is surprised to learn that she already knows Claire. As they make their way to the school, they do nothing but talk about how good their clothes are. They even go on to rank each other's clothes. Claire, however, feels left out and does not have anything to contribute to the conversation. When they are at school, they get to work right away, and what's their work? Well, that would be doing nothing but judging other people's appearances. On the other hand, Claire bumps into Chris, and both of them fall on the ground while Claire finds Chris on top of her, and he gets up right away and apologizes to her. Chris introduces himself to Claire, but Claire does not do the same as she is still trying to process what just happened. As the two talk, Massie sees them and gets jealous right away. She then storms out of there while her friends are unable to comprehend what just happened. Claire then approaches the group and asks them for directions to her classroom. Massie, however, behaves very rudely with her and sends her away. Now all the girls hate Claire because she is apparently getting on Massie's nerves, and they now start thinking of a plan to make Claire change her school. Then we see Claire entering the classroom while the class has already started. The teacher warns her not to be late for the class again as he asks her to sit with Alicia. The teacher then asks the students to paint a bunch of red tomatoes and they get started. Alicia ruins Claire's work by purposefully bumping into her. On top of that, she also spills red paint on her pants. Her white pants now look really bad and weird. The teacher mistakes it, thinking that she is on periods, and sends her away to the nurse's office. Dylan then goes out of her Spanish class after she receives a text from one of her friends. They now make a plan. She meets Claire in the hallway and pretends to be nice to her. Claire then asks her about the direction to the nurse's office. Dylan purposefully tells her the wrong location and direction as she makes Claire walk through the school with paint on her pants, paint that looks like blood. Claire ends up in the gym and everyone laughs at her. She finally gets into the nurse's office and realizes that she's been pranked by her friend. The nurse is nice to her and she asks her to choose what she likes from the lost and found section. At lunch, she is again laughed at by the other students, especially by Massie and her group for wearing old clothes. Massie then goes on to talk about Chris with her friends as she tells them about her encounter with the handsome boy the other morning. She also talks about going on a date with him and asks the group to plan her date with him, but Kristen talks about a project they are supposed to be doing at school. Claire, on the other hand, is upset and she now has no one to talk to. She does not know where to sit and the other girls keep making fun of her. She thinks it's better to leave. The group then goes to the boys' school in order to keep an eye on what Chris has been up to. They are all excited to be spying on him while they leave Claire to walk back home. Judy asks about her first day at school and, of course, her clothes. Claire pretends to be fine and tell her that she had a good day as she comes up with different excuses. She tells her mother that she is getting along great with Massie, and her mother is really happy to learn that. On their way to school the next day, the group talks about how they are going to create an edible, long-lasting lipstick for Kristen's project. Claire also tries to give her 2 cents on it, but the girls rudely dismiss her and go on to insult her further. Kristen then suggests the name for the project, Glambition, which is agreed upon by all the other girls. Upon reaching the school, the friends exit the car. When Claire is the only one left in the car, Isaac tells the poor girl to find herself some good friends. At lunch that day, Claire meets a girl named Lane. The girls like each other, and they end up making plans for the weekend. Back at home, Kendra invites Claire to her daughter's sleepover party on Saturday night. Claire does not get along with them, and despite them making her life miserable, she accepts Kendra's invitation. Just because of this, she comes up with an excuse and has to cancel her plans with Lane. Massie is pissed off at her mother for inviting Claire to their sleepover when Claire shows up at the blockhouse. Kendra, however, tells her daughter to watch her tongue, and she reluctantly invites Claire to join their group. Kendra then talks about an auction where funds are going to be raised and they are going to be used for the scholarships. That night, while the group plays Truth or Dare, they ask Claire if she likes anybody, and she says Chris. It does not turn out to be a good idea as the girls get pissed at her. When everyone is asleep, Claire has a strong realization that she does not belong here at all, and she leaves right away. The next morning, Claire invites Lane to her place and learns that Chris is actually her brother. Much to her dismay, Claire learns that Chris already has a girlfriend as well. While the other girls are trying to work on the project, they learn that Chris is there. However, when they come to the window to see him, they see that Claire is also with him. Claire notices that the girls are watching them. She touches Chris's hair to make Massie jealous. At the horse riding trail, Massie meets Chris and asks him to come to the auction. He tells her that his birthday is on the same day. At school, Massie tries to get along with Lane just to get close to Chris. On the other hand, her own friends start bonding with Claire after they learn in the pool that Claire is not as dumb as they thought. At home, Judy notices that her daughter is upset. Upon being asked, Claire tries to pretend that she is fine, but her mother forces the truth out of her. Claire tells her that she had a misunderstanding with Massie, and Judy tells her to make it right. Claire is, however, sick of everything as she has been at the other ends of constant mockery and bullying for a long time now. Claire decides that she is going to confront Massie and goes to the blockhouse. She learns that Massie is out. Claire tells Kendra that it is urgent, so Kendra invites her in and asks her to wait for Massie in her room. She looks around her room and it is amazing. She then sees some messages on her screen. She sees that her profile is not logged out. She now pretends to be Massie and texts the girls to wear weird outfits to school the next day. In the next scene, Massie makes fun of Claire's clothes yet again, but shuts up when she finds her own girls wearing the same thing. That night, Claire again manages to get into her room and uses her computer. She texts Kristen and body shames her. She then goes on to text Dylan and tell her that Massie has been hanging out with Lane behind their backs. When they are at school the next day, the girls are angry at Massie and they keep passing comments on her. Massie, however, does not understand what's going on. Claire is happy that her plan has been working well. When Massie tries to make fun of her this time, the girls side with Claire. Claire now becomes a new member of the popular committee. Massie, on the other hand, finds out what went wrong between her and her friends. She invites Kristen, and after a heated argument, the group ends up making amends. They then ambush Claire in a four-way call and tell Claire that she doesn't belong there. Now friends again, the girls tell Massie that since the charity auction is on Chris's birthday, she should jump out of a pop-up cake to impress him, and Massie happily agrees. On a field trip to New York City, the Pretty Committee tries to sell their Glambition makeup, but their recipe contains peanut oil, which triggers allergic reactions in their classmates. In amidst the panic, Massie anonymously texts Claire to use Lane's oatmeal snack to reduce the swelling, which makes Claire a hero. The scene then cuts to the charity auction, where Claire greets Lane and Chris comes over with his girlfriend Fawn. Elsewhere, Massie shows her I Love You Chris Abele t-shirt to her friends, who start gushing over it. Later, Claire patches things up with the other girls and notices Massie hiding under the cake for Chris. Despite the animosity between the two, Claire still doesn't want Massie to get humiliated in front of her parents and the entire crowd, so she rushes on stage and prevents Massie from coming out. She then invites Fawn to say something about Chris. Following this, she wheels the large cake into the kitchen and saves Massie from embarrassment. Although hesitant, Massie thanks Claire for saving her and apologizes for treating her terribly. Claire also learns that Massie felt threatened by her presence and acted mean to keep herself in the spotlight. With this, the girls reconcile and clear up their differences. As the movie ends, Massie adds Claire to her list of good things, and the latter shares her happiness with her mother. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get new movie recaps.